Hey. I am so excited today to have the opportunity to connect with the dynamic duo of Kay and Shi. And you may not know them, so I'll do a quick introduction. I met them during the International Maxwell Conference about 6 years ago. They were the marketing gurus of John Maxwell team at that time. And from then on, I just kind of attached into them and followed them. And then a couple of years ago, I became more involved with them in a different kind of way. And we've developed a bit of a bond, I would like to say. And today they're going to talk to us about living life simply as business owners, as mothers, as entrepreneurs, as professors, and all of that. So welcome, Shi and Kay. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. And thank you, Cheryl, so much for having us. We're so excited for this topic today. And you really got us thinking by putting this on about how we do live life simply and how we can incorporate more of that into our everyday and into the year coming as we near the end of 2022. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
And thank you for hosting a masterclass like this that allows participants and speakers to come forward and talk about a subject that is simple but not easy in today's modern society, and it's important for us as human beings, as a society and a community, to come together and make sure that we stay grounded to things like what really matters and how do we live simply and how do we keep that focus on the things that do matter, especially as the noise and the distractions hit literally a crescendo all around us. And so as business partners, as sisters, as twins in spirit, best friends, and pretty much everything in between, we have learned so much together, and we're so delighted to get to be here today and talk a little bit about some of our experiences, both in business and in our personal lives, as you mentioned, Cheryl. But speaking of that business, we started from a family business, which you might not know. So when Kay was 10 and I was 17, our parents bet it all and put in all of our family chips on the center of the table on a failing breakfast and lunch restaurant in a tiny ski community up here in Lake Tahoe in the Sierra Nevada mountains in the Western US. And overnight we became a restaurant family. So we were baking biscuits and bussing tables and taking payments and figuring it out along the way. So we won't bore you with all of that, but fast forward 20 years, here we are now. That failing single location has 9 locations across 3 states. We're offering franchises now. We've got a couple of hundred employees and about 8 figures in revenue every year. And we tell you all of that only to share with you that context of the fires that we've been forged in along the way as we've learned some of these lessons that we get to share with you.
Awesome. That is so exciting. You know what? I didn't know you guys were franchising, so that's super exciting. We need to get a franchise here in Atlanta, right?
Agreed.
Somebody needs to jump on that. We need to circle back and talk on that. I know some people. Yeah, so tell us what's been going on with you. What are the new things that you're working with, and how do you live life simply with a new baby, right? 4 children in total. Is it 4 or 5 between the two?
5 kids, yeah, between
5
the 2
children in total. You know, that's a very, very busy life. How are you all doing it? And being MCs, speakers, trainers, coaches, neuroscience, neuro and coding institute, all of that. Just spill the beans. How are you doing all this?
Well, first off, in order to have a life where you get to be wives, moms, speakers, entrepreneurs, co-founders, big business owners, small business owners, and everything in between, you have to have a village around you. And as much as we would love to take credit for all of the amazing things on our list, we have partners that support us. We have team members that come and surround us and help us to get the job done. Our parents assist on both sides of things, whether it's with dogs or with children. We have friends, we've got cousins, we've got employees, we have people who surround us every single day. And oftentimes people ask us, well, how do you do it all? And we always say the truth is that we don't do it all. We have folks around us who are frankly more qualified at a lot of the things that we try to touch than we are, who help us be better every single day.
So really, you're talking about it takes a village to make all of this happen, as well as community, right? I think after COVID, we've got such a more enriched community that is starting to develop, and there is a need for community. What are your thoughts on that?
We are in 100% alignment on that and have seen the power of community, both in our physical geographic community in terms of our restaurant business and our global community via connected on the internet and through online platforms in our service businesses, from the Institute to our speaking business and all kinds of different efforts in between. The power of connection, the meaning of relationships, the importance of that ability for us to understand and empathize with each other, we don't think can be overstated. And as you mentioned, the pandemic helped underscore and highlight that for us. And it's actually part of a little bit of what we want to talk about today. It's something that we've experienced here in the year of 2022, as we came out of, obviously a time in our society where things got shaken up, where all of us, I think, got not jostled around a little bit in different ways and through different avenues. And one of the ways that we all came together was through our devices and through our social media platforms. And thank goodness we had that, right? Like, think about the pandemic of 1918. They didn't have that level of connection. They had to go into quarantine and they couldn't talk to anybody or see anybody or plan any trips. Now, they didn't have airfare and they didn't have kind of the same ways that we're connected to as well. But I feel so grounded in the gratitude of being able to have that level of connection during a time like the COVID-19 pandemic, and think that a lot of people found comfort and safety there. We know we sure did. And sometimes that can start to be a crutch that you lean on too hard, which is ultimately what we started to notice and wanted to address as we came into this year and as we move into next year.
Awesome. So what are you about to talk? Oh, you know what, you guys, I need to do a backup. I didn't have you talk about who you are as individuals, right? Just a little bit about it, like the Disney stuff and the things that you love and, the simple things, but
I barely know who I am anymore outside of the Kay and Shi duo. So I'll share some of the personal side of the shared things that we love. Thank you, Cheryl, for the opportunity. As Cheryl said, we are both moms. My two children are 4 and 7 months old, 4 years old and 7 months old. Their names are Violet and Tommy. And we live here in Reno, Nevada. We were born and raised here. Love being a part of this community. We are huge fans of, I just want to say, musicals in general, but if we really want to get specific, and if you want to be a fast way into our hearts, the Hamilton the musical is game-changing and was a life-changing experience for us throughout 2020 and 2021. And you know what, you got to know, Cheryl, today is an extremely special day of the week, because today is Friday, and in Kay and Shi's world, Friday means that we get to eat French fries, and the other 6 days of the week we restrain from eating French fries, so that once a week we can get together. We go to our restaurant on Fridays and we eat French fries. So today is Friday. You all are in the family now. No takesies backsies. Terms and conditions apply. We'll see you at Thanksgiving. It's Friday, so eat your French fries.
I love it. I'm gonna inherit that statement. Fridays. I love French fries.
We do too, and we're restaurant owners. So you can imagine that sometimes if you are eating in the restaurant every day, that you want to have French fries every day. So this was a fun way for us to reward ourselves for hard work and recognize that we have some of the best French fries ever, without totally going off on those, and finding that kind of harmony in our lives between the things that we want and the things that are good for us, when they don't always align. But I'm big sis Shi. I'm 7 years older, and I love my older position. And as Kay likes to say, taking the machete to the metaphorical jungle, clearing the path. It feels like something I've always done in our relationship. I've got 3 kids, 12-year-old twins. They're in 7th grade, Wesley and Emery, boy, girl. And then I've got a 9-year-old daughter who is in 3rd grade. So we are in the throes of that middle of the age kids groups where we're going to bus stops and cheer practice and competitions and honor choir and performances and tracker sheets and all of those kinds of things. And it's actually a phase of parenthood that I've been really excited about. I'm also really passionate about education in an informal and a formal sense. I've got a dual bachelor's in sociology and psychology and a master's degree in sociology, and I teach sociology at the University of Nevada, Reno, and Kay and I co-teach at that same university Management 491 class, which is organizational culture and leadership. We love, love, love getting to teach that class together, and teaching and preaching, as we like to say, is definitely in our DNA. We love to speak together. We love to travel together and do all kinds of different things, be it Hamilton sing-alongs or Disney runs together, those kinds of things. So that's and we're all dog people too. So we love our dogs and down with cats. Just kidding, not down with cats. But sometimes cats are not very nice, and dogs are always loyal and loving, and we just love that about them. So there's a few personal facts about Kay and Shi.
Thank you for taking a moment to tell us about that. Okay, so now back to the original scheduled programming. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in 2022 and beyond for you all.
So this year we decided to try something pretty radical. I want to back up just a little bit, because in 2019, we decided that we were going to take 1 month off of drinking. We have a breakfast restaurant, we've got champagne, we've got Bloody Marys, we've got all kinds of fun things alcohol-wise at the restaurant, and alcohol was definitely a part of our DNA. It was something that we talked about, we used to celebrate, it was social, it was a relaxing thing, and we got to 2019. And so we're like, you know what, let's do 1 month off. Let's just take a sober January. And this was a pretty common practice for us, taking this 1 month off per year, sober January. And we get through January and we're like, all right, we feel pretty good. So let's try going for February. We get through February. We're like, all right, well, okay, well, we're this far. Let's make it first quarter and go to March. And then we get to the end of March and we're like, maybe we could make it half of the year. But by the end of May, early June of 2019, both of us had understood that the separation and the clarity that was gained by not drinking was a change that we thought might be a bit more of a permanent thing in our lives. It had affected us in ways that we didn't even understand, wanting to make sure we were fresh in the mornings when we woke up every time, always ready to deliver for work or for kids, or in any way to be present in our lives instead of creating that false presence through the myopia of alcohol. And so we decided that that was going to be something that, okay, now let's give that up. So toward the end of 2019, I started having a feeling of, you know what, I think I want to just try and have a month off of meat and not eat meat. And Shyla joined me on that. And before we knew it, we were vegetarians, and my goodness, here we are. So we've given up two pretty major things from a dietary perspective that we understood afterwards weren't good for us. And so here we are in 2022, and we're looking at each other and we're like, we think that there might be something in our lives that if we were to have a little bit of separation from, might have as big of a difference as the separation that we've gained from alcohol and from meat.
Now, it wasn't a food or a beverage, but it was something that we were consuming on a daily basis and in large quantities. And that substance was social media. And we have a marketing background. We are known as literally the social media girls in many circles where we've had a lot of success. And so we absolutely recognize, as mentioned earlier, the powerful positive impact that social media has on our society and can have, and its potential. The thing we probably love the most about it is that it puts the power in the hands of the people. For the first time in human history, anybody can share a story from their perspective and share it with the world. And that is revolutionary for us as a species. So want to recognize the gravity of what that contribution is. And then with that, with great power comes great responsibility. The gravity of that is that this is a highly addictive platform, and that this tool is designed to get a human brain to drip dopamine, AKA get addicted and spend more time on its platform. And so as 2022 unfolded and we started to look at our own levels of consumption and realize that they weren't always being consciously made, we decided, let's take the month off. Let's take a month off of social media and let's detox a little bit from it and gain some of that clarity and separation. And honestly, put our hands back on the wheel a little bit, right? Like have you ever been scrolling and inside your head, you're going, I have things I should do. I I should get off of this platform right now. Oh, just one more minute. I'll get to the top of the hour and then I'll be done. And you're like literally screaming at yourself, stop, stop, stop. And you can't stop scrolling. And then you finally are able to do it. And you kind of feel like your consciousness sucking out of the phone or the platform because it is addictive and it's designed to be that way. And it's okay that it is, but you've got to come at it with the knowledge and that awareness that it is. So we needed the month off to reestablish our own relationship and boundaries with that knowledge. And the month was amazing. It was the month of August, 2022. We took all of our platforms, put them in separate folders on the very last page of our phone so that we wouldn't have that motor memory. And that's the first thing that we want to share with you that we learned from this detox was how ingrained this habit was in our behavior, not just in our mind, but in our behavior, because we were scrolling to that spot on the phone without even realizing it. And when the icon wasn't there, you would be like, what am I doing? What I'm just sitting at a stoplight, for crying out loud. Why am I trying to scroll to this spot on my phone? Right? Just like, if we're going to be truthful about those kinds of things, or like, I'm just sitting here for a second. Like, do I really need to scroll while I eat lunch? Like, am I like that level of distraction is needed? And so we started to see that we were behaviorally ingrained, not just from a mental place, but from a behavior place. We were trained to use those social media platforms for all kinds of different things, for boredom, for comfort, for amusement, for entertainment, for distraction, for numbing, for all kinds of different things that weren't necessarily healthy ways of coping. So I wanted to share that, but that was only the beginning of our journey of this month off of social media.
That is so, so powerful. Like, you hit me hard. Like I keep saying, you hit me in the gut with the fact that it's the dopamine and where it's located on my phone, right? Like, immediately, if I can't find that right there, I'm like, what happened? Like, why isn't that on the first page, first screen on my phone? So when you took it off, what happened?
Well, we took off the 1 month and we gained some incredible clarity around this idea of that addiction to social media. And what you just described, Cheryl, I think is really well demonstrated in a study that they did on phone addiction in college students. The research shows that 94% of college students reported feeling troubled when not carrying their phones with them. 80% of them said they felt jealous when somebody else had their phones, and 70% said they expected to have feelings of depression, panic, and helplessness if their phones were lost or stolen. So that's just thinking about your phone being out and having that level of anxiety come in, let alone the anxiety that comes from not finding everything exactly where you want it within your phone. So you can think about how much of that, Shi, you said that consciousness goes into the phone. It's become a part of who we are now. Like, there have been some very interesting philosophers that are postulating that if an alien race were to come down to Earth, that they would look at our phones and think that they are an appendage of our very being. And I know that I use it that way. And oftentimes it's a second brain, right? My notes are in there. I don't know my passwords. Like, come on, are you kidding? I wouldn't be able to log into anything. I wouldn't have anything to log into. So we think about how much of our human function is now happening inside this device. And so just the tiny aspect of social media, look, we were still emailing, we were still taking pictures of our kids. I was still, Shi was playing her Tetris. I was still playing my card games at night. Like, we still were using our devices, but we took out the addictive mechanism of social media because we realized that our scroll was completely out of control. Like, we lost control of our scroll. And what we've learned throughout this process and kind of realized the second kind of major thing that came forward for us was that when we had it out of our lives for a week, the habit was so built, we started thinking, oh my gosh, how long has it been? And then we had realized it had been 17 years since we had taken this amount of time off of social media. Now, I'm 30 years old, But I was 13 when I started my MySpace account, and I was on it every single day. And then Facebook came along and I've been on it every single day. And then Instagram came along and I've been on it every single day. So for more than half of my human existence personally, and I know, Shi, it's nearly half of your human existence, that we have had social media presence on a daily basis in our lives. And this was the first time we had ever taken this length of time off. And that realization was the second major thing that we learned, because it's not something we had ever even considered until this point.
You guys are going to disrupt the world with this. I'm just claiming that right now, right? Because this affects all generations, right? You've got the baby boomers, you've got the Gen Xers, the Ys, the Zs, and whatever else there is. And all of us have been gotten addicted to using social media in our phones. Interesting. So what's next?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a great question to ask what's next. And hopefully this is helping everyone who's watching or listening think about how they can just reassess their relationship, right? As we came through that and we had these realizations that our scroll was out of control, that we'd been giving time every single day to social media platforms for more than half of our life. And think about the things that you do on a daily basis. Hopefully you're making those from a conscious place. And some of them are hard to make yourself do. Like for those of you who have a workout regimen that you're dedicated to 4 to 6 times a week, you know that you have to intentionally make that time, that you have to commit to it, that you've got to carve it out, calendar it, schedule it, that it can be difficult. And yet how many of us are spending literal hours? In fact, the average American is spending 2.5 hours a day on social media. The average teenager is spending 6+ hours a day on social media. And we're seeing mental health impacts through the roof on there. And there's definitely a correlation, but 2.5 hours a day, like you're not committing that to fitness. You're not committing that to a book or a dream or a creative project or a relationship or your spirituality. You're committing it to watching reels and commenting and looking at stories. And those are good things, but 2.5 hours, like that's a lot of time, 2.5 hours. And so that for us, that the invitation, the space gave us the invitation to assess that level of commitment of time on a daily basis and realize that wasn't what we wanted. So the results, before we went in July 2022, I was spending 5+ hours a day on my phone because it gives you the metrics, right? Each week you're looking at your phone usage. I was coming in at just about 5 hours. Through the month of August, I was coming in at 3 hours. So now I know I've got the 2 hours. I'm about the average person. And boy, for those of us who are entrepreneurs, it's easy to justify to yourself, right? This is my work. Part of my work exists on social media, right? All of us have this, right? Part of my identity and my work and my promotion and my sales efforts, all of these things are important in my marketing. So, part of that 2 hours is work. And we felt that when we came back. But September was our stabilizing month. And I've seen my own personal usage stabilize at about 4 hours. So I was able to eliminate 1 hour a day from just taking this 1 month detox. And 1 hour a day times 30 days is 30 hours, an entire day, almost an entire work week every single month. I personally got back just from taking 1 month off of social media and reassessing the relationship. So whether or not you ever hear from us again or know who we are or participate in what we're about to invite you to, consider giving yourself a little bit of space and assessing how much time you're spending with a highly addictive learning algorithm that is designed to deliver you something that keeps you on it as long as possible. That's all we're inviting you to do, is to assess that relationship. And if you want to do it alongside us, well, we've got good news for you. Sis, take it away.
Well, we are so excited that in 2023, we realized that we cannot, like meat or alcohol, give up social media 100% because there is a lot of good to it. And there are pieces of it that are a creative outlet and a beautiful connector and a way of communicating. But in 2023, we are committing to something pretty dang radical. We are taking odd months off of social media. So 135, 7, 9, 11, 6 months out of next year, Kay and Shi will be off of social media. And we are inviting our audience, any human being who wants to maybe try this for 48 hours, 7 days, 14 days or 30 days to come alongside us and try a detox of your own. Take the pledge, have a few days. If you want to come alongside us, we invite you to go to kayandshi.com/simply social. We want you to join the Simply Social Club. Come alongside us. Look, we are ditching the algorithms. We're ditching the highlight reel. We're bringing people together. We're doing this in January of 2023. And again, we're going to have levels that will fit everyone's needs. So you don't have to commit today. You don't have to get in and say, I'm doing a 14-day cleanse or a 7-day or a 48-hour. I'm going the whole month right alongside you too. But we invite you to just come on in, say you're interested. We'll be asking for pledges toward the end of this year. But Cheryl, when we went off in August and did the initial detox where we just invited people along totally free to come with us, just to have partake in it, you decided to come alongside us and take a detox as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I did. I was dreading it, right? Because, as a person, as a single person, home alone, just coming off of all of the things from the big COVID-19 situation, it had become a very, very involved part of my life. So I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do if I cannot be on social media all the time? So I took the dive with you all. I was like, let me try this. Day 1 through 7, total withdrawals. Like, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I want to be able to come back and have the conversation with you all about not doing it. So eventually it got to a place of pure peace. I wasn't angst up. I wasn't excited, trying to meet the deadlines of getting a reel out there, selling my business, selling my services. And one of the really cool things was I still got business during that time without being on social media. Eventually, when you all went back on, I stayed off. I stayed off an additional 2 weeks because I didn't want the anxiety and the stress of trying to specifically get involved with the whole Reels conversation and get things out there that way, where I was selling my business, right? And that's what I typically do on social media. It's about selling a service or something like that versus just getting out there and being my authentic self. So it gave me a lot of peace. It gave me back multiple hours in every day where I started cooking more, getting my walks in more, going out and socializing with my neighbors. It was just it was an additional thing that helped me to really understand the concept of living my life more simply. So I thank you all for that thing, because I don't think I would have ever done it without you.
I'm so glad that you made that choice and you did it alongside us. And thank you for sharing honestly, right? Like it felt like withdrawals, because how often, as I was sharing too, that we were all just scrolling to where it was and you're like, oh yeah, like I can't, or I'm not doing that. I experienced the similar just feeling of peace, like life felt quieter, but in the good way, just like I could just exist. And there wasn't that, even when you are someone who's a forever learner, like the three of us are, and likely if you're watching this, you're one of us as well. And that comparison is bad and that you don't compare yourself and you're on your own journey. Your subconscious being bombarded by other people's journeys all of the time can't help but compare. We are comparison machines, right? Like it's part of our function. And so taking away that comparison, I know it's just like, it was just me comparing me to me, like everyone says you're supposed to do. And it felt so good. I know there was just more confidence, more space, more grounding, more time. And it's been so just pivotal for us in gaining that perspective while still wanting to use the tool as the tool it is, the connection agent as it is, right? To be able to share with others who are looking for inspiration. I know we get a lot of inspiration from social media. And then when we came back, we were energized and excited about sharing and putting out content, and felt like it was going to be fun again and not dreading it as lots of us get into that grind of it. Because if it is social, it should be fun for the most part, right? Or at least enjoyable or beneficial. And so letting it get back into that space for us rather than just a numbing agent or an addictive substance that we're literally consuming for hours a day, getting that control back felt so good. So we definitely invite anyone to join alongside us. You don't have to make your pledge now. You don't have to pay an initiation fee, but if you're interested, we hope that you will come. Just check it out and get on the list so you can start getting some resources and some support as you consider this as your year ends down. But Kay and Shi, KayandShi.com/simply social. You can sign up and you'll get more resources and be in the loop on it as it unfolds. And we truly invite you and encourage you to assess your relationship and hopefully join us in the Simply Social Club.
I love it. I love it so much. And as part of the gift page, you will find that link there to access the social club. So awesome, ladies. Are there, oh, and you know what? I got to say this one more thing about this. It also allows you to become a lot more mindful of what you're doing because you've stepped away and you become a lot more present. So I just wanted to drop that last thought. Is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap up?
I want to just clarify that the 2.5 hour per day average is a global average. This is a global average. So we're talking about the amount of hours that are spent divided by the amount of people in the world. And we know that there are millions that don't use social media at all. So if we were to take a look at this being for the amount of people who are on social and are using it, like this 2.5 hours per day, it can be 17.5 hours in a week. It could be 35 hours in 2 weeks. It could be 75 hours in a month. If you take 1 month off of social media and you just hit the middle of the bell curve of people in the world using social media, you could afford yourself 75 extra hours in the month of January. And if we think about that from a working or a waking day perspective, you're giving yourself 6 to 7 extra days. You create a week of space in your life for meditation, for reading books, for growing plants, for walking outside, for all of the things that you've said to yourself, I don't have time for that. Give yourself the opportunity to create the time through something that you might not have even been realizing has been taking as much time as it has. And if you're on the fence because you're like, look, I don't want to do this because my business, right? We're going to be there. Let us tell you, our email open rates tripled. Our podcast downloads doubled. We booked a speaking engagement the month that we were off. So our business actually didn't slow down. Our business accelerated. And when we came back to social media, we had such renewed creative energy. We have never had a better engagement, likes, shares, comments month than we did in the month of September 2022. It was hands down the biggest month on our page ever. We had our best videos, our best reactions, our best engagement ever on the month that we came back. And I think a lot of that was due to the fact that we had renewed ideas and creative expression. And so if you're on the fence, like I put out my soapbox, sis. I'm here, I'm standing on it because this is important and we want you to be a part of it.
And I'm going to re-summarize some of the things that you said. Engagement increased, effort decreased, pleasure increased, and you grew your business. Talking about making life simple, yeah. Right? Talking about live life simply, that is the purest form of it. That is a great, great, great opportunity to do that. So, Shiloh, you got some closing words?
Well, if you are on social media, we're not completely down with social media. We'd love for you to follow along with us on our journey. You can find us at Kay and Shi, KayandShi. We're most active on Instagram, but we're also on Facebook and Twitter and on TikTok too. But we would love to see you over there. You know that we're monitoring our time on there, but we do always reply to DMs and we love to see you out there and encourage you on your way. So we'd love to connect with you there, but no, you won't see us on odd months starting next year.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you so very much.
Thank you, Cheryl. We love you.
Love you, Cheryl. Love to all. Thank you.